Sahana vavatu Sahana bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia, Satsang. So we are continuing the study circle on Gita, Swami's Gita Vahini. And the book we are going to start on page 23, the last paragraph, which starts on thus Krishna started giving him. And in the electronic version, the one you got the PDF, page 17. So we'll be starting it. So just briefly, I will touch what we discussed last week, because Arjuna is such a great hero who could conquer the three worlds. He had so much power. He was grief-stricken, despondent, depressed. So, and he wanted to go away from the fight. So this is referable to any of us. It can happen. We may be great in the thing when the time of crisis comes, in whatever way, whether health, family, financial, career, then people can get depressed. And that is why recently we were looking, I am surprised, shocked that 1 billion people in the world have some kind of mental health issues. And 8 million people die each year. And it is interesting, I didn't know that even children get to go through depression. Actually, Nirupama is here, she works with the children, so I was surprised. One of the pediatric, Dr. Rama Devi, she works with them, she was telling, so sad, that means there is something wrong, the parents and children, everybody is doing. So because this is the problem with the grief, is you should be with all the luxury we should be very happy, because Swami says be happy, happy, and he wants us to be happy. So the reason he is telling such a great man go through that, and the Lord Krishna is giving solution, because you are attached. We get attached. Whole problem is attachment causes bondage and grief. Detachment causes happiness and freedom. But attachment, only one attachment gives happiness. That is attachment to God. It is the only good attachment. All other attachments will give you pain. We can analyze ourselves in anything in life. Whenever we are getting attached to people, places, and things, that will be a source of, temporarily it may give joy, but in the ultimate thing, it gives sorrow. That is why the great people like Lord Buddha, Adi Shankara, they think, hey, this is not the right thing. So they found and they went and find the solution. What is the way for eternal bliss or happiness? So he was telling this process is mainly the attachment, I and mine. Everything is, the whole Maya, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, is warp and woof of Maya is I and mine, I and mine. And the fundamental thing is this attachment to the body. We all have that. So, but we can work on that. So for many lifetimes we have been thinking that. Now we have to deprogram that we are not that. So that is why here Swami said the best physician is Narayana himself. That's why they say Narayano Vaidyo Hari. Real physician is God. We can think also that physicians are the part of the divine power, but main thing is real physician is Narayana, and he himself diagnosed the right diagnosis for Arjuna, because diagnosis is the 50% of treatment. So he diagnosed what the problem for Arjuna is. Not that he is weak or he is thing, but he is misled, misinformed, misidentified. So he is giving him right treatment. That is what Swami said last week. We did. He has diagnosed. Narayana is the only medical expert who can do so. He has diagnosed Arjuna's illness correctly and described on the right treatment. So we are lucky. So we have Sai Rama as our physician, and he said he will give us the treatment. Manasa bhajare guru charanam dustara bhava sagara charanam. Just go on contemplating on his divine lotus feet in the mind, and he will take us across this ocean of samsara bhava sagara, which is the disease. So now that is the thing which we discussed. Now we'll continue on page 23 of your book, or if not, page 17, starting thus Krishna started.
Thus Krishna started giving him, in the very first instance, the most effective drug, jnana. This is detailed from the 11th sloka of the second chapter. This is a key sloka for all students of the Gita. Krishna condemns outright two objections that were haunting Arjuna for long, saying that the destruction of the body does not mean the destruction of the Atma, and that he is grieving for those he need not grieve for. Prajnavadamscha bhashase. You talk like a wise man. You say this is dharma and the other is adharma, as if you know how to distinguish them, said Krishna. Here, attention has to be paid to one fact. Arjuna is suffering from two types of delusion, ordinary and two, out of the ordinary. To confuse the body with oneself and pine for the body as if something has happened to you is the ordinary delusion. To discard one's own dharma, in this case, the dharma of a kshatriya, warrior, as adharma is a delusion out of the ordinary. Krishna destroys the first and removes the second. The first is dealt with from the 12th to the 30th sloka of the second chapter. Krishna has to tackle the second as a special problem and explain in 8 slokas the idea of swadharma or his own dharma to Arjuna. These are collectively called dharma shatkas. Swadharma does not bind and produce further birth. It can lead on to liberation. It has to be done as karma yoga without attachment to the fruit. Towards the close of the second chapter, there is also the description of the successful aspirant who has studied himself in a purified intellect, the Sita Prajna. Stop.
Yeah.
So beautiful how Swami, when we go on reading the Bhagavad Gita slokas, 1, 2, 3, that's how it goes. Most people give explanation about it, and when we read this Gita Vahini, what we understand is that he's even simplifying things. The way that analysis 1, 2, what is the problem, and here he says 2 types of delusion. One is ordinary, which is common to all of us, and second is also out of ordinary, which is also common. Basically, we many times say this is dharma, that is dharma, which may not be true. So what is our dharma we have to do? So Swami is, see the two delusions, Swami is very beautifully here explaining what it is, what the problem is first. Many times we don't know the problem. So here, unless we identify the problem, we have a problem, then we will not be able to find a solution. So first defining the problem in the right way and knowing we have the problem, then we can find a solution, which that's how Lord Krishna is explaining here. And Swami is very beautifully said here. I'll leave it open for discussion.
Yeah, anybody, because we are meeting now in person, can take a microphone and make comments or questions. But here I would advise everybody to read this chapter 2 and chapter 18. There are 18 chapters. You can't say this is the best and this is not, because every word of God is like a mantra. You can't say. But the great teacher, Jagat Guru. Lord Krishna is Jagat Guru, so he's a universal teacher, and his message is universal for people of all nations, caste, creed, races. That is why, even though it was given thousands of years ago, even till today, so many spiritual seekers get uplifted by diving deep into that and practicing that. That's why it's one of the one translated into the most languages all over. And so even Western philosophers take it as their guide. So here, the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. As a good teacher, he gives what he's going to talk about. He gives almost like a summary of what he's going to tell. And the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, last chapter 18, gives the summary of what he already said. So what he gives the prelude and then the thing at the epilogue, what has been said, so that this man who is confused in the beginning, he says, chapter 2, sloka 7. He says, that is another important sloka Swami said, where he says, Karpanya dosha upahata swabhava. All of us go through. I'm getting confused. Puchami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. Says, I am really confused. What is dharma, dharma? In life, it happens. Sometimes certain things are gray. Should we do this? Should we not do this? So I'm confused. So he says, I'm really confused. I don't know which is good, which is not good. So, puchami tvam. So, dharma sammuda cheta. Shishyaste aham. Now I am your disciple. He is his brother-in-law, Arjuna. And he was also a good friend. At this time, he doesn't say, I'm your good friend, I am your close relative. He doesn't say that. I am your disciple, because the relation between a teacher and a disciple, guru, at least in the Vedic tradition, is you implicitly follow the command of your guru. So implicitly follow. So he says, I am shishyaste aham, shadhimam. He says, tell me. He didn't say, tell me. Command to me. Shadhi means command me. Shadhimam. Why? Prapanna. Because I don't know. I am confused. I don't know what is dharma, dharma. I surrender to you. And I am your disciple. Please give me command. Till then, Lord Krishna, like a good teacher, he was just goes on listening. Because he was telling, dharma, as if what he is doing, Kshatriya dharma, is to fight. Just no, I will go into the forest, contemplate, do meditation. What is this fight? Killing people. That is not good. So he's misinformed, misguided. So when he said that I don't know, then Lord Krishna comes in the picture. That is why, please go to this sloka 11. Swami says that when Swami said we need to follow, this is the 11th sloka. This is the key for all students of the Gita. That means if you want to know Gita, you have to know that sloka. You don't need to know the Sanskrit one, at least know the meaning. He says, there he says, asocyananva sochastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasuna gatasuncha nanu sochanti panditaha. Pandita means the one who is a wise man. In general world, people think Pandita, a scholarly man, is the one who knows many books, shastras, many languages, is well versed in scriptures. But the definition is not that. Here, Lord Krishna gives the definition of who is a real Pandita in 3 places. First is here, in chapter 2. He says, you are grieving over those about which you should not grieve. Asocyan anvasochastam. And he says, Prajna, and you are talking like a wise man. First, at least, if you agree that you don't know, that's okay, you will tell. You are Prajnavadacha, you are talking like a wise man. Real thing, Pandita, Gatasuna, Agatasuna. They don't worry about the people who are gone, dead. Like loved ones in our family, everywhere, and our parents die, our children, our kids, and cannot we ourselves good, gone. So he says they don't grieve about them, or they don't grieve about the living ones also. Most of us, we either worry about somebody in the close family, friends, or anything dying, or in the living ones, right? Those are the things very common. He says, if you want to be really a wise man, you cannot grieve. So we should always analyze whenever we grieve about these things, that means we need to get rid of our ignorance. That is the whole thing. Is Gata Suna Gata Shana Pandita. And another place in chapter 4, he says, who is a Pandita? Jnanagni Dagda Karmanam Tamahu Panditam Vadaha. He is a Pandita who has wisdom is so much. That's why he says the greatest medicine is jnana. It is jnana, all these karmas are burnt away. Jnanagni Dagda Karmanam Tamahu Panditam Vadaha. So, because we are born because of karma, right? Otherwise, you won't be born. The reason for birth is karma. Our life is karma. Whereas Avatar Purusha Karana Janmas, they are born for a purpose to uplift the humanity. We are born because we did whatever karma, depending upon that thing. So he says, this is because of that karma you are born. To go beyond the karma, you have to get the jnana. So that is, we need to practice that. And third thing is, also he says, Pandita in chapter 5, that's very cute. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunishaivasya Pakecha Pandita Samadarshana. Who is a Pandita? He is an equal-minded man. Whether he says a very great scholar or a ignorant or a little dog or a huge elephant, or even says, I didn't know those days they used to a person who eats the dog meat. Any of them you do see that, because Brahman people think, hey, that guy eats dog, we think look down. He says they are for him equal. Pandita Samadarshanaha. Whether you are a Brahmin, or you eat the meat, or you are a dog, or you are an elephant, for him everything, because everything is provided by the divinity. So these three things you should remember. One is not to grieve for the living or dead. Second is to have that stage of equal-mindedness. Third, with the power of the fire of jnana, get rid of our karma. So that is what here he is talking about. So prajnavadamsya bhashyate. So you are talking all this, but you are dull-headed. You even though you think you are wise, because you are not. You are grieving about the people whom you are going to kill, and actually he says in the last stage he says you are just an instrument. And second thing he is talking, this is the important thing, delusion. We are talking, we all have delusion. What is the first delusion? Thinking what we are not. We think we are the body, right? Body, BMI, body, mind, and intellect. But we are the Atma. That is the real. So misdiagnosis. So we are thinking wrong thing. We are this wrong diagnosis. So we are not really body, mind, intellect, but we think in these three phases. We think with body illness, oh, this thing, I'm getting old, I'm getting this. Body. Mind, oh, my mind is confused, I'm down and depressed or agitated, anxious, fear, depression. And intellect, this thing is confused, which is right, which is not right. So these are all the things. But really you are neither of those three. You are Atma. So that it says first is your ordinary delusion is you are thinking you are what you are not. So that is the whole problem. That is what beautiful Swami said in Telugu. Eddi kaladanu chuntimo addi ledu. What you think exists, it doesn't exist. Eddi ledanu chuntimo addi kaladu. What you think it doesn't exist because we don't see God. ఉన్నదొక్కటి దైవంబు ఎన్నటికి లేనిదయ్యను విశ్వంబు కానరయ్య. What you think that exists doesn't exist. Like Ramana Maharshi, this is all the dream world. This is mithya. This is all illusion. And what doesn't exist because we think exists, that is the divinity. So even though the world doesn't exist, you think it exists. This is all dream world. So you need to have this concept that what all exists is Brahman. So that is what he is telling. So don't get out there. And second confusion he has is dharma versus adharma. He thinks killing those people, his cousins, his gurus, his uncles, grandparents, is sinful. Because killing anybody is further, killing even a cockroach or even scorpion. Shidi Baba used to say that is because everything is pervaded. And you are here killing people, and not one person. You are giving a mass of people. Isn't it a great sin? So that is why he says, argues Arjuna rightly, it is sin to kill all those people. I don't want to have bloodshed. I would rather go on, not only I have to kill all these people, they are all very close to me. They are, from them I learned so much archery. They take care of me as a child when brought up like grandparents. So that is where Lord Krishna says, that is not really you are doing it because of real dispassion. There is dispassion versus delusion. Here, dispassion is really you're not attached. There are great people like Lord Buddha. He was not attached to his kingdom, parents, and he walked out in search of truth. Like that King Janaka, Videha, he is called no attachment. But this is called pseudo detachment. So he thinks he is detached, but is not really detached because of the attachment to his relationship, because they are. If not, that's why Lord Krishna says, you would have killed them just like without thinking, one shot, you would have gutted up all those bad people. Because of that, you are doing that. So he is confusing dharma with adharma. Real dharma, swadharma. What is your dharma? Is as a kshatriya, he is a king. Whenever there is adharma, because there is a lot of adharma, these Kauravas, they were very adharmic people. They were really not exploiting people, not treating well. Even they tried to kill these Pandavas through poisoning, through many things. So they were following the path of adharma. As a kshatriya, as a king, your duty is to protect dharma. Anybody who is adharmic, you have to do that. That is what they write. The administrator, the law and order officials, what do they do? Anybody who goes out of that, they have to punish them, or that is their duty to do that. So you have to do that. You are running away from your duty. So that's why Lord Krishna says another beautiful, Swadharmo nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Your own dharma, even though you don't do it well, it's better to do rather than trying to imitate somebody else's dharma. So like Swami Vivekananda said, a cobbler who does the best pair of shoes is better than a king who rules the kingdom. So whatever thing we do to the best of our ability. So you need to do this swadharma. Like here, we talked about it. For example, as a man and a woman, as a man, there is why Swami says this equal rights, women, that is all wrong, because women have even higher place than men in the history. Even in our scriptures, there are great scholars like Gargi and all those Maitreyi and all those people. And there are people who are great warriors. So just don't, each one has a role to play in life. Because women, you can't give birth to a baby. Only women can give birth to a baby. Men have chivalry to fight or do the job. So everybody has a role that is called Linga Dharma. Depending upon your gender, you have your own obligation to do. That is the way God. And then depending upon your stage in life, if you are a child, you like to play with your kids and games. As you are becoming younger, you have to go and study. And as a householder, you have to take care of the family. And as you get older, you have to be vanaprastha. That means more thinking about the God. But Swami says now they are vanaprastha, is vanaraprastha. They are all like monkeys going all over here and there. So, but vanaprastha means really you should not be still attached too much. Children, grandchildren, this, that. So you did your duty. You brought them children up, then the college. So I remember one time this Gopal Rao Tata was there in the ashram. He was sitting. He's chairman of the Andhra Bank. Very nice, great devotee. He was very completely, he gave up everything and it's with Swami. His granddaughter was getting married in Hyderabad. Says, Swami, I want to go for 3 days to Hyderabad. Why? My granddaughter, Manavaraldu. Manavaraldu means in Telugu, that's granddaughter. He's getting married. Manava Raldu. What is Raldu? Stone. Get rid of that. Still Manava. Why do you are old man? You're 70, 75. Still grandchildren, this. You should, that stage has gone, you have taken care of your children, now focus on God. So that is what the important thing is. We should have the dharma, what is one prasad. Then sannyasa, the only attachment is to God. And then the another dharma is here, depending upon, there is ashrama dharma, then varna dharma. Whether you are a kshatriya, you have to protect. You are a vaishya, you are a businessman, you have to do good business. Karma, but nowadays commerce without morality is dangerous, because most of the people is business they do with try to cheat. So you should have a vaishyas that you have that. And then Brahmins, they have to think about Brahman, do the Vedas, but the people nowadays, they are born Brahmins, but they do the even worse than Shudras, so, right? The people eat beef or then do smoke, all bad things. They never even know what Vedas are. So just Swami was telling a story, one Brahmin, his name is Chaturvedi. There are people in India, they have Chaturvedi, Trivedi, Divedi. That means the way it came, his name, Dvivedi means he knows two Vedas. Trivedi means he knows three Vedas, Chaturvedi. So Max Muller was excited because he's interested in Vedas. Yeah, I'm meeting Chaturvedi today. Hey, Chaturvedi, you know all Vedas. What's Vedas? What is this guy? He was poor man, depressed, Max Muller, because he wrote commentary on Upanishads. I mean, he's a great Sanskrit scholar. This guy is namesake Chaturvedi, but he doesn't know ABC of any Vedas. So you need to justify your Brahmin, you need to have the knowledge of the Vedas, knowledge of scriptures, practice, do your Gayatri, do your spiritual practices like that, and Kshatriya, and then Vaishya, and Shudra, anyway, they are the one who support the society with their labor and help. So like that, each one has a role. But the Swadharma is, the highest dharma is Atma Dharma. That is the thing. Because everything else is refers to body. Your body is man or woman, it refers to the body. And the ashram dharma stage of life, this also refers to the body and mind. And then this aptitude depends on the body. This all changes because even little boy, even the place like Prahlada was only 5 years old, but he was intoxicated with God consciousness. So it doesn't matter, and somebody could be a Shudra, like in tribal women like Shabari or Kannappa. There are people, but they have the greatest devotees of God. So they are not then. So highest dharma is Atma Dharma, to dwell in the knowledge of the Atman, that we are the Atman. That is what he says. Swami says, very word we should carefully read. Says, Sadharma is the one which will give you liberation. So he says, Swadharma, that means you follow that highest Atma Dharma, then you are liberated. That is here. So, and another thing is here is talking about chapter, this 11th sloka we already said, right? It says people, Panditas, are people who are really, you should not grieve about the living or dead. This we have not time, we will take next time. This is 12th, from 12th to the 30th sloka of second chapter. Swami says, what is the nature? Really who we are. Lord Krishna says, who you are. This chapter is very important. So just to show, to discriminate the real versus the unreal. And then you really practice that, then they talk about Sthita Prajna, man of steady wisdom, from sloka 54 to 72. So I want all of you to read, then you will enjoy better. Here, I even brought this in chapter 2. Swami is talking about from sloka 12, that's where 11 start. He describes what is really how to get rid of the body attachment, body consciousness. You want to know that? Yeah. So Lord Krishna is telling, Natve vaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva bhavishyama sarve vayamatah param. So in simply, in the translation, Arjuna, myself, that means Lord Krishna himself, you, the Arjuna, and all these kings and all these people, we were there before. So he thinks only we are there, because even Lord Krishna says, tell him, I told this Gita to people like Manu and Surya, that means sun god. Since you are born just before me, how you are my brother-in-law? How can you say you are talked to those? This is thousands of years. Because he identifies Krishna as the body. Because as Atma, he says, I was there before, you were there before, all the kings were there before. Not only that, you will be here forever. That means after this period, this what we see, you will be ever. So his first, there is a shocking truth. Anybody will say, normally, you will be here, you were there before, and you are now here, you will be ever forever. People will think, what is he talking about? How can you be there? So first thing, shocking treatment, he says, you were there before. That means there is, don't worry about killing them. They will be, even if you kill, they will be there. So Krishna is a very astute statesman, he was telling. I shouldn't say politician because their own principles. So he was telling that because real thing is your Atma. That is the first thing he says. Why? Example, beautiful example is the teacher. Next, sloka 13, just because 12th to 30th he says, Dehino asmin yada dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tada dehantara praptir tatra namuhyati. Dhiras tatra namuhyati. It says, Dehino in body, kaumaram, that means you have childhood, yauvanam, youthfulness, jara, old age. We all go through that, childhood, youth and old age. And then dehantara prapti. Then finally after that, end stage. Those six changes is there for everybody. Asti, just jayate. So we all get born and we grow and then we change because our body changes. Like you get lose hair or get gray hair and get cataract and then slowly all the things diminish functionality and finally vinashyati, gone. There is natural, there is nobody, whether even a plant, animal, everything is subject to that. So this is, so Lord Krishna is telling, as in the body, this young youth, childhood, youth, and old age, and the death is happening. Similarly, you will go to another body. So don't worry about it. What is the problem? You'll get another one. Somebody says you have an old car, is getting damaged. Somebody will get new car. So why are you worried about it? Will you get worried if somebody is here, the old car is getting, you get discarded, you'll get a new one. One Swami was telling that, then this one American dude, Swami, I know, sure, if you have taken, but how do you know you are surely I will get a good next body? If you give, who will give the assurance? You can't. This is the scriptures. Lord says we believe that. Says like that the changes happen. Similarly, you will get that. So don't grieve about that. So the really jnani will not give. This is the changes in the body happens. Oh, I was young boy. Now I'm getting the old age. What can I do? I'm good. What can you do about it? There is a fact of life. Similarly, you are going to change that. So dhira, really, if you are a hero, it means you are a wise man. Na muhyati. You just do not grieve. Do not worry. Then he says what we get the joys in life. This is all explaining because these are all referring to, hey, you are confused. You think you are the body, mind, intellect. So don't think. Now he is telling this. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna samadukkada. Agama payano anityas tam titichhasva bharata. This is very, very powerful. This, it says, why do we get joy? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna samadukkada. Most of our happiness or misery is because of the contact with the sense objects. Sita, Ushna, that means cold and heat. Sukha, Dukkha, that means happiness and sorrow, are matra sparshastu, because of our contact with the sense objects. Senses, when they come, are like your eyes see something nice, vision, nice things. It feels, oh, nice vision, feel happy. Our ears, you are in contact with the nice sounds, nice music, something, they feel happy. Tongue, with the nice food, delicious food, it is happy. So most of the things, senses with the sense objects, when they come, that is how these things happen. These are called pleasures. And pleasure is interval between two pains, Swami says. So these things, that is why he beautifully says the definition, agama apayino. They come and go. They won't be there permanently. Only permanent bliss is eternal bliss, which is divine bliss. So first he wants you to understand the nature of things. So remember that all the things you get in life, the pleasures, sorrows, heat, reaction, any experience is because of your the senses coming in contact with the sense objects, and these are responsible and these are temporary, agamapayano. That is why tam titicha swabharata, it is very, very powerful. Titicha means forbearance. And Swami gave a whole discourse on forbearance. Forbearance is truth, forbearance is dharma, forbearance is God. The whole thing is the power of forbearance. That means with all these ups and downs, the tribulations and challenges in life, how can you maintain that balance? So Swami gives the example of the Pandavas, how they went through, Mother Kunti, how she went through the suffering, all the great people, like you can see even Lord Jesus, how much he did to people, how much he was tortured, and he was even crucified. He was on the cross, but he did not show he had exhibited forbearance. And same thing with the Lord Buddha. You can see any of the great saints. There is one, somebody said, if you are a devotee, you will be happy. He says, it is not true. Lord Krishna, because you have your parents, they were in jail. They had to cry all the time because they gave birth to you being a Lord. Mother Sita, she married you and then she has to be in a forest and cry all the time in the thing. So, because you are a devotee, that means you are not exempt from the thing. Sometimes you may get even suffer more. But so that is what the test. But you will give spirituality is immunity in difficulties. You say, okay, Lord is there with me. He knows what is right for me. I surrender. I put the burden on Him. That confidence you get, then will be happy. So that this quality of forbearance. Please read this discourse Swami gave on forbearance. Beautiful truth thing. That is why he says Swami was talking about Mother Kunti. When she was there, there's the famous prayer. He says, praise Lord Krishna. He wants what do you want? Atma means she is like a aunt. What do you want? Says, Lord Krishna, grant me a boon so that I have difficulties all the time, because during the difficulties I think about you more. In times of pleasure and comforts, I forget about you because you are partying or you're thinking. So just the reason most important gift from God is to be able to think of things. Anything which makes you forget about God, even though outside it may look okay, but that is the worst thing that can happen. Anything which makes you remember God, sometimes when the pain is there, we'll do more Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, or when you have challenges, problems in work or home, anywhere, you do more intensify your spiritual practice, at least most of the spiritual seekers. So it is taking you thinking more about God, whereas the others, so anything which makes you think, that's why Mother Kunti, famous prayer is, Lord Krishna, give me more and more trouble so that I can think about you more and more. So that is why this quality of forbearance, the titicha, it is there. You can see anybody, whether Christian mystics, Sufi mystics, you can read any of all the stories of the great devotees. They all went through so many trials and tribulations, but they did with a very cheerful attitude. They didn't have to complain. They actually invited grief as a gift from God, not as a punishment from God, because that is how you take it. Everything is like a prasada buddhi, they call that. Everything, Lord, there is a bhajan, right? Know that the Lord is sweetness itself. Everything is sign of His grace. That is the stage we should come. There is not, I passed, it is Swami's grace. When there's this thing, Swami's grace. Everything is sign of His grace. Even if it doesn't happen, that stage we should come. In the beginning, good things we think is a grace. Ultimately, everything is grace. That is what we should have. So I think there are a few more. I think probably we'll continue the next weeks, because I want to finish this. Swami talked about shloka 12 to 30th, and these are a very important aspect of, you also read at home. So the chapter 2 and shloka 12 to 13. And then we talk about Sthita Prajna, another important thing in this chapter, shloka 54 to 72. Mahatma Gandhi used to have in his days all the time, every day he used to, when he go to shower, he used to memorize each shloka, because that is powerful. How do a man of steadfast wisdom behaves? And even Acharya Vinoba Bhave, one time I was there when I was 12 years old, gave a nice, beautiful discourse on the Sthita Prajna qualities. So he was the one, we chant the Om Tat Sat Sri Narayana Tu. For people who don't know, he is the one who wrote that Acharya Vinoba Bhave, Sarvadharma prayer we sing. So all these things also we can discuss, but let us go slow, because here Swami gave a hint, but they just didn't. That is why I wanted to go to the original thing and talk about it. Okay, so then we'll continue next week. Yes, Sairam. Anybody has any questions? We got 2 minutes we have. If everybody is... You have one question?
Just listening to the Gita brings a kind of detachment in the heart. Is it normal to feel like this? But that detachment is temporary.
Yeah. No, that is no. There are two things which is described in scriptures called smeshana vairagyam, prasuti vairagyam. Smeshana vairagyam means your close friend or relative, somebody dies. Then the day you have services, funeral service, everybody talks and somebody's there. Yeah, this life, we die and think this, what is that? So that day, maybe some people for a few hours, some people maybe a day or two, you will think, yeah, this is all. And then again you forget that, because there is a temporary thing, this Meshana Vairagyam. And same thing they say is Prasuti Vairagyam. That means lady who gives birth to a child, this labor pains are so bad, my God, this is terrible that I will never have another child again. This is, how can you go through so much pain? But then once the baby is born, oh, I want to have another child. Some people have 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So these are called temporary kind of vairagya detachment. But the real what vairagya is, people who, when you have love for God, like Lord Buddha, he was in search of truth. That was real dispassion. And said, you don't need to think, people say, oh, I will be detached, I will be detached, they won't be never detached. Sri Ramakrishna showed a beautiful story. There was wife, she was worried about husband. I also says, okay, I will renounce and go to the forest, meditate. He's always goes on telling that, but he never goes. Then his brother-in-law, that means his wife's brother, comes, says, his wife says, my husband is telling all the time to go to Paris. People talk like that, they will never go. Don't worry, I will show you how to go. And this guy, just his brother just leaves everything and just goes. This, if you have intense detachment, you will just give up like that and go, not just talk about it. So the real detachment, we don't need to worry about it. If you have attachment to God, it will be automatically detached. That is the simplest secret. Instead of struggling, they go on getting attached to God, thinking about Him, singing His glories, doing His work, studying His leelas. Automatically you will get. That is why Sri Ramakrishna said, if you go towards north, automatically you are going away from south. So the more you are attached to God, naturally you will be detached. You don't need to struggle how to get detached. So that is the answer. Be attached to God, then you will be detached to the other thing. Okay? Sai Ram will continue next week.